we want more engagement, we want more great customer experience delivery. But the other side, we also want to say that, hey, am I getting an ROI out of my this customer experience program? If yes, then I'm able to give you approval to do this exercise. And if not, then I think like, why should we do this?
Welcome to a whole new episode of Engati CX. I'm your host, Kimberly, and we are really glad to have all of you join us today. On the show, we talk to CX and technology experts from around the world. We explore, uncover, and share fresh insights on creating experiences that your customer will remember and look forward to. Engati is the world's leading multilingual, no-code digital CX platform available across 14 channels with 45,000 solutions created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as the top platform by Inc. Magazine, Tech World, CIO Magazine, and many others. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, the Engati CX podcast, receiving upwards of 4,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest. Nandkishore Tripathi is the global head of customer experience at Survey Sensor. As a passionate customer evangelist, he is a true believer that empathy is the most important factor that brings compassion and love to deliver a great customer experience. He helps brands to design their successful voice of customer programs. He holds 16 plus years of experience in listening to customer feedback and providing actionable insights to top brands to achieve their business targets. Welcome to the show, NK. We are so glad to have you join us today.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, specifically, and Ingati team for having me on this discussion. And I'm very excited to have this quick discussion and see how we can help the organization to create a better world. Yeah, so looking forward to it. Yeah, thank you, Kimberly.
Likewise. But before we dive into our amazing interview with NK, don't forget to subscribe to Engati and tap the bell icon to get access to exclusive content coming from thought leaders from around the globe. Well, now that we know customer experience is one thing that all businesses are in a chase for. So, according to you, how could we design a superlative customer experience using data-oriented approach?
I don't have a single specific answer for this, and there is no like one magic wand that you can use to create a superlative experience for the customer, right? So basically, for me, customer experience is a human experience, basically, like because all the customers are human, unless you are selling something to robots. I'm not sure if you're doing that, right? So CX is a discipline that we need to imbibe in the organization, and once we do that, that delivers the great customer experience and engagements. So by the footwork that I call about, whenever you are creating a great customer experience, you have in mind there is a strategy, right? You have objective. So consider this way: every organization, have a different stages, right? Somebody is just an entrepreneurship, we just wanted to get started with, right? Somebody is there in the in the growth stage company, somebody has already matured in the way, and they want to hear about customer experience. What is the objective? So being passionate about customer experience for myself, and the objective is to provide a better experience to customer, right? So that's one of the best one of the objective as a customer experience team. But if you look at from the business point of view, why do we want to create a better world? Why do we want to create a better experience? Why do we want to create a better engagement? There is a hidden objective of increased ROI, right? We want like more customers, more revenue. So there is always like, it's a coin upside down, right? So basically, one side of a coin said that we want more engagement, we want more great customer experience delivery. But the other side, we also want to say that, hey, am I getting an ROI out of my this customer experience program? If yes, then I'm able to give you approval to do this exercise. And if not, then I think like, why should we do this? So that's the battle we always, as a customer experience professional, have to battle out with this, right? And the answer to this is very simple, that the customer experience is not meant only for the revenue generation. revenue generation is just a byproduct out of this. Is basically humanizing the overall experience of the world that we are having, right? Creating an overall a better world. And as a CX professional, we go through some discipline about this, right? And so I just phased it out in my experience with, when we are developing this for the organizations, to have a very clean and clear objective what you want to achieve as a strategy. So strategy is the one and foremost important thing to define, that defines the core of your business, who you are, why you exist. Do you deliver that value that is actually in your strategy? That's the point number one. Second point, customer understanding. So do we really understand and wants of a customer? So do is your business is delivering the need or want? So that's the second aspect we need to understand. Third, third is actually the design of our entire customer program. So how do you design it? What is the research that you do about your customer understanding? So there is a lot of framework that we use, right? Being a persona, defining the persona, creating the customer journey of it, right? Designing entire VOC program, MVP, and then executing it. That all comes into a design experience part of it, right? And once we have the design, then we go about the governance. So you have some MVP that you can create, but how can you make sure that it is actually working? It is actually being lived by all of your organization. That is where the governance required in the place. And then the most important thing is the culture. So even if you have a great design, great governance at in place, but if you don't have a customer centric culture, then I think like customer experience is not going to exist anywhere, right? And then the last part that is very very important to all business owners is the measurement, right? So we track and see that, hey, what you have designed, what you have put as a governance, you also make everybody to work, and you have designed a very good customer centric culture. What value are you driving, right? Is your customer happy? If the customer is happy, are they actually happy and increasing the overall revenue that you are getting? Is it related with? And that is, I'm just trying to relate our value to the ROI. So I think these are the 6 steps. Basically, if combined and done in carefully manner, you will be able to create a great customer experience and be able to deliver a great engagement. I can deep dive into each and every point, but just want to make sure that at a high level, make sure that whenever you are designing, your basics are right. What you want to do and why you want to do, what are we delivering, right? That is the most important thing. And when you deliver that to our customer, my only question to our customers are that, are they getting value out of what we are providing to them? The answer is yes. Then I think we can add more value. But if not, then we have to relook at and understand, do we really understood what they want, right? So customer understanding, that the second point that I talked about, is really really important, Kimberly. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure that I'm able to address this.
Yes, you very rightly mentioned all the points that is essential. You spoke about one point being that businesses should focus on their main objective to create strategies. That is very important. So I was just curious to know, if do B2C businesses and B2C businesses, both these businesses, do they have different views and objectives that come into mind while these objectives are set, or how does this go?
Yeah, I think that's great question. I think similarly, in my opinion, like people talk about B2B and B2C, there is some differentiation in that, in the terms of how we create the relationship with our customer in terms
Correct.
of B2C and B2B, right?
Yes.
But in terms of when we're defining the strategy remains the same. You are very very clear that what you want to achieve, right?
Correct.
Being as a focus, we want to create something, a value add for our my B2C customer in the e-commerce space. This is what we want to deliver, that the users should be able to purchase anything from anywhere and do the payment in one single click. If that's the objective they are able to achieve, right? In the B2B space, like they want to make sure that, okay, you will get everything what you want in just one order, like one single order, you do it with us, whether you want the anything from your system to pen drive or your households and whatnot, single call, and then you are done with that, right? So it depends upon what objective you are trying to serve, and are we very clear on that? If you are clear on that, I think you have nailed the big chunk of it. I have seen, being in the entrepreneurship also, most of the people fail also because they start with something and they do something else, and then after the some time they do something else. So they're not keeping consistent that why
Yes.
you have why you have actually started. Think about it, why you really had this started. And if that focus is consistent, you will still be able to achieve what you want to do. So I think consistency is very important in this as well. Yeah,
Yes,
Kimberly.
very rightly put. So, talking about customer experience, I think the most important puzzle that completes it is technology. So, with AI and machine learning being the upward trend that we have, how can you see, in your opinion, AI and machine learning elevate customer experience and engagements?
See, I think if you look at the machine learning and AI has been in the industry for a long time. It's not like that it has been just started during pandemic, right?
Correct.
But like if you look at these examples for the banks, fintech, all of these companies have initiated and putting a lot of value to get AI chatbots, conversational chatbots they need, because there is a need of it. Because now this pandemic has moved up like 25% ahead what we could
Correct.
have done in the past, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion is basically the future is the technology, because without that we cannot see enough out of this. Even if you look at right now, nobody has thought of like we will be speaking from my room just like that over the Zoom, so much of like that. Even 10 years or 20 years before, nobody has expected. Otherwise you see in Ramayana or Mahabharata, in historical time, they have a divya drishti,
Correct.
they can use for it. But now these days technology has evolved so much that what people has thought as a leader, now it's visible right now, right?
Correct.
So specifically I'm talking about machine learning and AI. These are the future of the great e-commerce companies, fintech companies, banking companies, and even even also the small startup companies also, right? With one of the report that I have seen is 80% of the companies will be using AI and machine learning as a chatbot, because they don't have much manpower to start with. Much like they cannot spend that much. But however, creating a chatbot is so easy now these days that you even you cannot think that, oh, can I deploy this in just one day? How super cool it is, right? Otherwise, if you want to hire someone, create a superstructure and around that, and then create policies, procedures to handle your customer, it could take you a month. But you could
Yes.
do that entire onboarding and everything in just 1 day to 3 days. And how much time and value that it's saving it. That's one part of it, right? For the moving to the technology. But the other part of it is it drives the like the truth, the in the moment truth that it gives us. So it's not that what has been perceived experience. So when you have like your customers, there is something we have perceived experience that we get from other people. However, the machine is actually analyzing your real text, your actual voices that you're talking to the people, and giving responses, right? And so that getting the actual truth is the one of the another area that I look forward to it. That how we are analyzing those feedbacks rather than just the conversation that is being just entered by the agent, right? So that's the second element of it. And third and most important thing is the hyper focus, like customer obsessed people, right? Now if you are if you're talking about customer experience, I cannot go away about talking customer obsession. So we people are like some more highly customer obsession. It has plus and negative both. So I have a wall in between when you have to break, not go beyond that. But some people this is a good topic of discussion on customer obsession I
Yes.
already had. But what I wanted to say is that is if you want to provide some benefits to your customer, how fast you can deliver. And
Yes.
whenever it comes about delivering anything fast, the technology is the means for it, right? So be it the transportation, earlier days, like people just go manually on barefoot to deliver their messages. Right nowadays, WhatsApp, you got the message like wherever you are in the world, right? So
Correct.
the speed is one of the most important factor that is given to us as a boon of the technology, right? That is actually driving everything so fast. So I would say that the AI and machine learning basically can learn and adopt, and there is still a lot of new things going to come right now. I won't say that I'm satisfied with the AI what we have right now, but I'm seeing this. This is the main core that will actually drive the next future of us in the customer experience space, Kimberly.
Very rightly put, NK. And you've mentioned about AI being time effective, and we can actually get a chatbot deployed very quickly. That's when Engati comes into picture, because our no code facility, and we can actually deploy a chatbot within few minutes. So I think it's just AI being like the superpower for all businesses, and actually helping even a startup to kind of achieve that kind of customer experience and engagements from their clients and customers as well. uh, Talking about the second side of customer experience is customer loyalty. So customer experience is what businesses give to customers, and loyalty is what they give in return. So how do you think brands can earn a long-term customer loyalty?
Now these days I would say that it's customer and the brand have a dating experience, right? It's not a marriage. um, so basically if I purchase a product, I'm not married to that product, because
Okay.
every new time there is a new product coming into the market, new feature, less prices with more resourcefulness.
Correct.
And this time the branding, in the market, how you see it, they brand things that changes the perspective how as a customer sees them. But when you start dating someone, right, you know them well, right, and you create a connection, you create a relationship that goes long and lasting, and you always have a fear, oh my god, what happened if it's a break off, right? So you really want to create that engagement all the time to keep it continue. So I always say that, like, if you want to earn a loyalty of a customer, you always have to make sure that you understand them, being a customer obsession, being a customer obsessed about their needs and requirement, and knowing them what is happening, what is their need yesterday, what was their need yesterday, you have already fulfilled it. It doesn't mean that, okay, if you already have if you look at one example, that Apple, right? So Apple was like delivered everything, but the informations are available, like all the information are available in the like, if you look at, you can search everything on the Google and stuff. But now Apple has done something that all the information was on your wrist, right? So in the Apple Watch, kind of, that's a future driven thing, that they think about it. So they keep their customers in that sense, they understand what is the requirement. So being a visionary is very very important in this criteria, that if you want to make sure that your customer being with you for forever, you have to be visionary to understand what is their future requirements are. Current requirements are being met, that's the basic, that's the base level. Your promises to be delivered, it's the basic requirement, you cannot just void that. If you void that, forget the customer loyalty, right? We are not here to okay, that's fine, okay, let's do it again and see, you can punch me again, right? It's no, it's not like that. So now these days, even if you look at the millennials right now these days, and the future are the kids, right? Now these days there is a lot of focus on the kids, because they are the future customer, right? So we want to understand how they will evolve, what will be their requirement, and how they think about it, their perspective and all of that. There's a lot of whole research is going on that, right? So what I'm saying is that if you want to keep your customer base, make them happy with your promises. Second, be innovative, be visionary to understand what is coming next and be ready for that before any other. So I think I have learned one more thing is that uh, being perfect is not needed. Being the first is most important thing. So if you come up with some sort resources, some services, some product offering, if you are the first, you are always winner. Being perfect, you will always become a perfect over the period of time, but you always have to make sure that what is the demand that is going to be there. If you come up with that, you're already going to be in the race for forever. Yeah. And I
Yes,
think
I think you.
just
Yeah,
one more important point I forgot to add, sorry about
sure.
that, is one of the greatest learning that I have ever had in customer experience field, and I always apply this. From Jeff Bezos, he always says that put everything around your customer center. Customer is at the center of everything what you do, right? So
Yes.
even if when we are doing this particular podcast here, we are talking about it, I always have felt in mind that who is listening to this, who's the customer, are they going to get a value out of it? If yes, then okay, I'm satisfied. If not, then I think I have to really think what is the value that I can give to my customer, what value I can give who's listening to this is very really important. So all the activity whatever you do, your judgment, your product services offerings, your strategy, your decisions, you always have to make sure that asking this question to yourself, are you doing this for the company? That is one question, for revenue, reduce churn, increase overall dollar value, right? But again, this other flip question is that what is the customer going to get out of this? But obviously we need revenue, right? Who doesn't need it? Like, we will not do the business if you're not earning, right? So everybody wants the revenue, that is why we do this. But the base important is that what is in it for my customer? Is my customer getting the value? If yes, they will be ready to pay. If they are not, we don't want to say that okay, please buy my product, please use my services. Not like that. Yeah.
Yes, you've rightly put down all the guidelines to keep your customers loyal. You've very clearly mentioned that competition could be one of the things that is ongoing right now, and because of the pandemic, there is a force of digital transformation forcing all businesses to go online. So online is like, you could say, a theater where you have all brands and you have to attract the audience, right? And I think the steps that you've mentioned rightly puts everything in place. But I am curious to know if you have one golden rule that you could give businesses get past their way in their competition with other brands.
Very simple answer. I don't focus on, so focus on your customer, and you don't have to focus on the your competition. I think this is the same line that Jeff Bezos has also said, that so they are going to focus on their customer, what their need is and how they evolve it. And the other, so if you look at the history, there has been so many retailers available, like came up at that period of time, but Amazon has kept it and he's become a giant right now, right? So I think for me also, in my organization also, I say that people ask me that most of the time when we go to the sales call, hey, who are your competitions? So that's the most of the question that people ask about it. And I think you are my customer. If you're asking me, I have to tell you that who we are actually competing. So with this is, that is one of the answer. Another way is that, okay, we are different, right?
Yes.
We appreciate their business, like of this, they are great in that domain, right? However, what we do is this is something that unique is, this is what NK does. If you don't have that charm, that thing in you, I think you will always struggle to compete with your competition. But I would say that try to find your niche, what exactly you deliver that is separate from the others, like a superlative thing from your product and services, and just focus on that. And I think, like, you focus on your customer needs, your customer happiness, and I think, like, you don't have to be ever have to think about your competition in that way. Yeah.
Yes, very true, very rightly put, NK. So now that we know how to keep the customers the center of all our strategies, the thing that comes with customers is feedback. So, what do you think? What could be the true means, and how could we take customer feedback through omnichannel? And why do you think it's necessary?
We talk about collecting feedback, send surveys, collect feedback, send surveys, collect feedback, uh, do transaction NPS, do relationship NPS, do CSAT, so many things. Those are still valid, those are still required to do it. But I have a different point of view on this. Is why what is actually a feedback? What exactly is feedback, right? As a customer, if you are an organization and you want to hear from your customer, do I really need to send a survey to that person? That's my first question. Is people say that, okay, we want to send a survey, right? But my first question is, do we really need a survey? Do you know, have you done your homework well enough, before asking the feedback? Because the customer could have already shared the feedback on your app, could have already shared the feedback on Instagram, could have already shared some feedback on Twitter, could have already shared some feedback on the other your community channels, could have already called up you on your service call center and talked to your agent and provided his frustration or his service request, whatever it is, right? He's already shared a lot of things to you. Are we already listening to those? My first question is that. And most of the people is sitting on the gold mine data. Means like I would say that data is already available to most of the organization, but hardly, like I would say, 10% of people are actually utilizing that data enough, right? So that's the first point. And when I talk about omni channel, I talk about getting and collecting feedback from all these sources, from your social media, from Twitter, from community channel, from your apps, and not only the feedback that customer provide you, but also their operational usage. How much time an average a customer is actually spending on your app, right? And what are other features he's actually using? If you have 10 features in your product, how many features he's actually using on a daily basis? What is the frequency of that? Are you tracking that? If yes, you will be able to make a better decision that who the customer is, what customer segment is, and then what they like, where, which is the most part he's using. And if somebody is not using any specific portion of it, then you can ask and see that, hey, you have been using our platform for say, a week or like 6 weeks of time, and you have used this great, but you have not utilized this particular product feature. Are you aware of this? And if say yes, and if somebody, that could be a very valuable feedback to understand that, is that particular feedback is really needed, is that particular feature is really needed or not needed, why the customer is not using it, right? So I always say that the omni channel is the means to collect feedback from all the sources. So you have got multiple sources. As a customer, I have got like my open hands to share my feedback at whatever convenience I feel, right? if if I have a WhatsApp, I'm very, use, if I say that, like almost in 24 hours, as businesses are also coming on WhatsApp, right? We are spending almost 4 hours of a day on WhatsApp, right? Is your business in is your business is on WhatsApp? Can I share my feedback through WhatsApp? If it is not there, then you are losing in lot of potential feedback, right? That is one of the means. And second means is that you have to understand is where, what is the preferred mode of communication of your customer, how they want to do it. Is it kids? Then it could be different, right? If it is like old age people, they are like not that much tech savvy, then the, their preference mode would be different. Are we tracking that? If it is like millennials, so basically it depends upon the understanding your customer, and see that what are the preferred mode of communication that they are trying to reach out to you. Are you listening to that? And if you are not omni-channel, you cannot do that. So we are at Service Ensem, what we do is that we provide flexibility to brands to listen the customer feedback across all channels. It can be coming through your voice, call center, contact, WhatsApp, chatbot, Facebook, Instagram. And then also you can add up onto that transactional service. So if somebody has done the transactions, you can send service, collect feedback, and understand on collect feedback on your web page. If somebody is like doing transaction, then how that transaction was great, 5 star or 4 star rating, and then they can take a feedback. So collecting that entire feedback at a single location and creating a single source of truth for the customer, so you can know and understand that, hey, NK was trying to connect to me on Instagram in last 1 week, and he shared this particular feedback. Yesterday he connected me on Twitter, he shared this feedback, and today he again called the contact center, he shared the same feedback again, and he also got the sentiment around all of those conversations. And see that if somebody as a CX person or the analyst person who's actually looking at those data, how much value he can go back and add to the customer, and that can also drive the insights for your potential new business opportunity also. So that is why I always prefer our like organizations to go for omni-channel listening way. And you can start with a small step, so we can't just start tomorrow and collect everything, right? So we have to strategize and start small, and then we can scale the program. Yeah.
Yes, you very rightly said that. And I think omni-channel approach is something that all businesses should start taking in, so that they kind of know where their customers are firstly, and also know what they talk across all the channels. Yes, you've mentioned earlier that chatbots is actually time saving and can help businesses. So, do you believe that it is the future of conversational intelligence as a technology?
Yeah, I think I wanted to share something is about specifically for the conversational chatbots, right? So, like I said, the most important thing that I have seen in the AI and the machine learning and this transition of this is getting a quicker answer in emergency. How do I get that? So this happens now in this pandemic situation, right? If somebody wants something, they want to get, there are so many chatbots are developed to help people or patients to get information about COVID, right? We could not have done this just circulating newspapers or like PDFs and all of that. It's not feasible to do. So I think, like, look at the good example of this. And I think the second, that's the first most important thing I said, that getting a quick answer when the customer needs it. And customer will always reach out to chatbot or any AI system whenever he wants some information very very quickly. Otherwise he can just go to the branch, meet you in person, call. If he want to be in a queue for 5 minutes, he can just call on the center, right? Those are the things. So that's the first and most important thing. Second is like resolving a complaint or a problem. If he has like some complaints or problem, he can resolve it quickly. So I can show, I can, these are the top things, like but the chatbots and these things are like used for your commodity uses, that people generally want to get answer about it. But if you want to find, if you want to buy a like a Porsche, you will not interact with the chatbot. Oh, I want to buy a Porsche, can you send me the detail, right? No, no, nobody would do that. So considering your business use case, right, considering your business, if you look at this, what is happening is the future is conversational AI. And and I think I wanted to add one more thing here. Like, I'm sure like most of the people who are listening to this podcast is aware of what is AI, what is machine learning, and what is like something called rule based chatbot. So there is so many things in the AI. So what is actually true AI means? So there are so many chatbots. Chatbots are meant on not just answering your frequently asked question. It's not an FAQ. I just wanted to clarify that the chatbots are not FAQ. And if you are building your chatbot and just answering FAQ, I'm sorry, I think you need to improve on, right? So we don't need FAQ. You can just create an FAQ on your web page, and that's it. Don't create memes, right? We have seen so many memes about chatbot. If you answer something, it will ask again same thing, right? AI is where is very when the AI conversational chatbots are actually learning by themselves what customer demands are, what they are talking about, and like they're changing themselves to answer that proactively, the demands. I think that the future looks like, Kimberly, on the conversational AI part of it.
Yes, you've clearly mentioned very rightly how effective and useful chatbots can be. You've clearly covered all that a customer experience guide would need, but is there anything else that we've missed out on and you would like to share with our audience?
Just one thing, specifically I'm talking about the chatbot. So what I have seen is that the chatbot size, actually chatbot market size, if you look at, has been around 2.9 billion market size in this year, and I think it is expected to be around 10.5 billion in next couple of years. So with that said, that you can see that it's almost increasing almost like 23-24% year on year. And the demand is going to be so huge. And I think like that's the future that I just wanted to add on that, Kimberly. Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. Is there any other sound bites you would like to leave our audience with? Any tips or summary, maybe?
If you really want to be a north star in customer experience, always be like, think about a human, right? We are a human, and we are doing everything in this space, we to create a better world. So being in a customer experience world, my passion is always to create a better world. So if I go somewhere and I don't feel a better experience, I see that there is an area of improvement, right? And I always try to provide a feedback. So whenever you are doing any strategy, you are planning any plan of action, you always think that how you are impacting someone's life, right? If your decisions, if your brand, your services is impacting someone's life, you are always going to win in the race. I think like that's something that I want to share with my team.
Thank you, NK. That's been really kind of you to share such insights with us. Thank you so much for giving us your time and coming on the show. Your insights were really valuable, and I know our audience is going to enjoy this interview as much as I did.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kimberly and Ingati team, once again. And I'm delighted to be a part of this, and we look forward to be more sessions. Yeah,
So
thank
we'll
you.
be back again with a new episode and a new expert soon. So stay tuned.